Please start the session, I think.
Yeah, so here we go
It's
now.
around 98 right now, so we can start, I think.
A very good morning to one and all present here. I, Arun Prakash Agrawal, on behalf of Sharda University, welcome you all to the 7th session of this FDP, which is themed on recent advances in computer science and allied domains. Today we have a very special guest with us. Not only special, very handsome also. Let me now take this opportunity to welcome him formally and introduce to the audience. Mr. Dipinder Sekhon. He is the CEO and co-founder of Critical Solutions. He is an alumni of IIT Delhi and holds master's and bachelor's degrees in computer science and engineering from IIT Delhi. Aside from his interest in vision systems in AI technology, he also involves himself in innovation and enterprise. He is keenly committed to liberal political and governance reforms in India and other developmental initiatives. He is also an alumnus of the London School of Economics and Sciences Pro Paris, where he completed his master's in public administration, public and economic policy. Dipinder drives overall operations and business planning at Critical, and he has led the company across several growth cycles over the last 2 decades. Under his able leadership, the company expanded its footprint with Critical Solutions Inc., who is owned subsidiary in California, USA, and Vehant Technologies. These are the associate companies. And today he is going to express his views on the topic $1 billion ideas for passionate innovators. So before giving control to Mr. Dipinder, let me also take this opportunity to introduce the company Critical Solutions. Critical Solution was founded at IIT Delhi in 2002 and is a technology design house specializing in product engineering, research and development, and innovation. Its areas of expertise include vision systems, AI, computer vision and image processing, software systems in cloud and mobile, and embedded systems and IoT as well. In close to 19 years of existence, Critical has expanded its global footprint to 3 continents and is now home to some of the best engineers, developers, and innovators who have helped create products and solutions that are helping advance the world around us, as well as society at large. From intelligent learning solutions, improving health and wellness outcomes to make roads and surroundings safer, Critical's aim continues to be Kriti for Kal, or creations for a better tomorrow. With these words, may I now request the speaker today, Mr. Dipinder Sekhon, to kindly take over and address the audience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Agarwal, and thank you, Professor Ankur Chaudhary, and the entire organizing team of RACSAD. I'm delighted to be here with this FTP event for Sharda University. Good morning, good evening. I know people are joining from all over, so whatever the time is for you, very warm welcome. As Professor Agarwal mentioned, this type of setting or this audience is very special for me and for all of us in Critical because of our origins. As there are 12 co-founders of Critical, 5 professors, and 7 people like me who were at that point students passing out, freshers in 2002. And Critical was incubated in the Business Incubation Center at IIT Delhi. IIT Delhi is still a shareholder, a minor shareholder in Critical because of that. So collaboration with researchers in academia to innovate is a core purpose almost in Critical. So I'm very happy to be part of all of you. My idea is that many of you are budding researchers, PhD scholars, students, and also from the industry. I hope this session would be useful for you. That's the type of audience I have kept in mind for this talk and session. And this is going to be highly interactive. So a lot of questions are going to come your way, and I request you all to participate. And we'll also hopefully have a lot of time towards the end for Q&A. Okay, so let's jump to the topic. What I'm going to do, like a good engineer or researcher, is define things. We'll first start with billion-dollar ideas, and then we'll go to passionate innovators, and then the specific technical themes which are part of the title, right? Okay, so let's start with what is a billion-dollar idea, right? I want all of you to think about what is a billion-dollar idea. And as you're thinking, you can keep typing in the chat box. I think that is one way in which we can interact. Now, let's first let's try to define it objectively as we can. And I want Professor Agarwal and Professor Chaudhary and the organizers to track everyone who is in this talk for next, let's say, 5 to 10 years. And we should see how many billion-dollar ideas come about.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
And then I'll take 1% of all of that, right?
Sure, sir. Sure.
Okay. So, $1 billion is, if it is US dollars, it's about 7,500 crore Indian rupees. You can convert it into your respective currencies, but that's what it is, not less, not more at this point in time, right? But the question is, that's $1 billion, but what is a $1 billion idea? If you get an idea, how do you value it? How do you say, is it worth $1 million? Is it worth $1 trillion? What is the value of an idea, and how do you go about valuing it, right? So try to think about it, and I'll try to share my views about it. So, let's make a small assumption that somehow this idea has converted into a startup, right? It is not necessary, of course, but we'll just try to imagine this idea in the shape of a startup, right? So if this idea is a startup, now the question is, how do you value a startup, right? How do you identify $1 billion startup? So here are some possibilities. You can look at the revenue, right? How much is it earning, the income, revenue, invoice? Or you can look at profit. Is it making profit? What is the value of the profit it is making or not making? Or we can look at something else, right? So these are all questions to you. You should really try to think, and I would want to get a sense of where you were or where you are, or gut feel wise, what does it look to you? How should we value an idea which is in the form of a startup, let's say, right? And then the other question is, over what period of time? Because you look at the revenue or profit in the first year, in the first 5 years, in the full lifetime. Turnover of a company, for example, is an annual figure, right? It's for that year. But what should we do? So stay with these questions. And if you have some thoughts, feel free to keep sharing in the chat box, or at least in your minds or in your diaries, write them, right? Now, here's one way to look at $1 billion idea. I would like to say that an idea which adds $1 billion of value to society is $1 billion idea, right? We again are left with the problem of how do you measure value add to society, but we'll come to that, and we'll also come to the questions I've left you with. But this will be nice, isn't it? If an idea has to be useful to people ultimately, and the more useful it is, the more valuable it is, isn't it? So this, if we define ideas in this manner, and if we define startups in this manner, then I think one thing we could be sure of, that it is helping the society move forward. It is helping all of us progress. So if something injects $1 billion of value to society, that we can consider a $1 billion idea, right? Fair. So now, how do you add value to society? Society is made of people. Adding value to society means adding value to people, right? Which could be people like us, or they could be different type of people. Now, it could be a small value addition to a large number of people, millions or billions of people, maybe doing something which impacts them multiple times in a day, right? Or it could be a big value add to a small number of people. Both are okay. So let's take some examples. Let's take WhatsApp, right? Or a mobile phone. All of us use it, or many of us, billions of people use it now. We use it multiple times in a day. How is it a value add? It helps us communicate. And communication is very important in everything that we do, right? It could be life-saving sometimes also. So this is an example of, I'm still calling it a small value add because every transaction there is small. Every message that you send and the ease with which you are able to communicate is so with WhatsApp being there as an example, it has made it easier than it compared to when it was not there, right? A example of the other type would be, let's say, a cure for a particular type of cancer, right? Or something else, which is, let's say, a rare disease, and you find a cure and you are able to save somebody's life, right? Or so that's a big value add to that individual. Not many people may need that cure, so therefore it is small number of people, but a big value add. So value addition to society or to people can come in these various different ways. And an idea which in this manner helps people, helps make it easy for us, helps make us move faster, progress better, that's at large scale, let's say, could be a large scale idea or $1 billion idea, right? Now, if we combine these two, the set of questions above and this, um, I feel, and some sort of people feel, that the right way to measure value add is through lifetime profit, right? Not revenue, not 1 year, 5 years, but lifetime. This is debatable, but that's what I feel, and that's what a lot of people feel. And those of you from finance or business and economics would understand that the valuation of a company or the market capitalization in the stock market, etc., basically reflects this. What is the cumulative profit that this entity or this startup is likely to generate, right? Going forward, it is always forward looking. So we won't, I guess, have time to discuss the derivation for this or the proof of this or why this is that. But
Sure,
it's
sir. You can go ahead, sir. You can
yes.
take your time.
Okay, but there is some small article, one page that I wrote several years ago. It's called "Profit is Charity." I'll request Lakshman or Marie to post the link on chat so you could read it. And it is deliberately controversially titled, right? So I expect, once you read this or look at this idea, you may or may not agree with it. Half the Nobel Prize winners don't agree with it, but half do in economics. So, but this is one way of very objectively measuring value add to society, and therefore measuring, identifying a $1 billion startup or a $1 billion idea close to that, which is in the form of that startup, let's say. So this is what I have in mind when I think of $1 billion ideas. Okay. So summary, what we have discussed so far: $1 billion idea is like a unicorn startup, right? We say a startup is a unicorn if it achieves $1 billion valuation. And more importantly, there's this notion that a $1 billion idea should add that much value to society over its lifetime, right? Okay. Now, I want to ask some questions. So all of you, I hope you can see this link. You can either copy and paste it, or just look at your chat. You would have the link. And what I want you to do is, whichever one or more $1 billion ideas you can think of, or you could just name unicorn startups you are aware of from your own cities or own countries. Let's just see what all of you come up with. I'm sure all of us are aware of more than one unicorns or $1 billion ideas, right? So let's just see some real examples of this. And as you're doing it, I'll also try to show you the responses and tell me if you can see that. Okay, are you able to see the responses that are coming on the screen? Though you should type in your own responses and then see these answers. But yeah, okay. This would just give me a sense of the ideas or the $1 billion startups you're aware of. Okay. Professor Agarwal, are you able to see the responses on the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's visible, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Visible.
All right. Thank you. So let's just keep going and let's see what comes in. So we have Byju's, Paytm, Milk Basket. We also had an idea to begin with: water plus salt disinfectant. Absolutely. Oyo, Zerodha, right? Moglix. So these are mostly Indian companies or Indian startups and big ones that I see. Affordable healthcare. All right. All of you try to I hope you got the link on the chat. So
Yeah, it's there in the chat box, sir.
right, Snap.
People are writing in the chat box also. Swiggy and Zomato, somebody has written.
Okay,
Shrankla Saxena.
correct. Cred, Gojek, yeah, Swiggy and Zomato has also come in here. By Juice, right? Good. So take another minute, type these here, or that gives me a sense of, and try to type something close to your city, which is headquartered close to your city or your country. That would bring some variety over here. At least some of these I don't know. And thanks for putting ideas as well. It need not just be startup names. It could be ideas as well. Okay, great. So we'll keep typing, but I'll come back to the presentation. Okay. Can you see the screen back now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Right. So I think all of these startups were named except WhatsApp, which is fine. I just wanted to name WhatsApp also, but we looked at Byju's. You were all aware of Byju's, Paytm, and Oyo. These are currently the three largest startups. Of course, Flipkart was $20 billion. It was acquired. That's why it is not listed here right now by Walmart. And WhatsApp is global, and it was acquired by Facebook for about $19 billion, but way back in 2014. So its current valuation would have been much larger if it kept going. So these are not just unicorns; these are decacorns, right? Close to $10 billion or more. And the thing about these examples is you were all aware of these, most of you, many of you, and you could think about the idea behind them. I think that is what is sort of really important, because we are here to think of billion-dollar ideas, right? What is the value add? Do you think they're adding value to society? Do you think in what ways are they making lives of people easier? Because only if they add value will they receive value, right? You as an individual are willing to pay for something if you find it valuable, and only to that extent. Um, so there are many of these. Let's look at how many, right? So there are actually about 52 unicorns in India listed currently. These are companies which have become unicorns after 2011, right? So in the last 10 years or so, you could see links on the chat that will give you the full list. And this keeps on changing every day, of course. Companies both go out if they're acquired or something happens, and new companies keep coming in. The rate, these are startups, these are of course just unicorns in India, right? This 52 number. And 16 out of these 52 have joined just in this year. This is just half a year right now, 2021, January to now. So which means currently you have one unicorn coming in there in that club every 10 days. These companies were of course not founded in this year. They might have been founded in 2011 or 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, whenever, right? But they sort of became a unicorn, these 16, for example, in these 6 months. Their valuation got to that, crossed $1 billion. So my point is that it is not actually very uncommon now. These are a lot of ideas, isn't it? One in every 10 days. It's not that it happens very rarely. It's pretty much happening at a regular rate. And of course, if you look at globally, currently there are 700 plus unicorns globally. And again, I'll try to share some links. You'll have some links on your chat, which you could see to get a list of all of these. These are since 2007, right? And their combined value today is more than $2 trillion, which means 2,000 billion dollar ideas sort of within them in a way, right? So, and if you look at the rate, currently it's about 1 to 2 every day. So every day, 1 or 2 companies or startups are becoming unicorns globally. So that's a lot of ideas, right? Huge number of ideas. Okay, and the key point over here is it is very simple things. If you focus on these problems, like Byju's is children's education, right? Online children's education, Paytm. Now all of us use it. It looks very simple. It's just about payments primarily, right? OU rooms is hotels. So this, it is not very esoteric research that, you'll have to like really reflect a lot to come up with that idea. These are simple problems which we see every day. And most of the unicorns and startups would be of that nature. So the problem that they're solving, all of us can think about those. And there are many of those problems have been solved, let's say, are getting solved every day if you look at the rate of startups, but many also remain. There are many ways in which we can make lives of people around us easier, simpler, better, right? Now, this concept, of course, need not be limited to startups, right? So if you look at the top technology companies, they were startups at some point in time. Now they have become bigger, right? But Apple is the largest at $2.4 trillion. So the top 3, and they're all technology heavy companies or just purely tech companies. So it's relevant for this audience, right? They're all in trillions of dollars. Almost each of these, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, are in $1 trillion. So they're 1,000 times bigger than a unicorn. And even if you look at the top Indian companies, Reliance, Tata, and HDFC, Tata, the biggest component is TCS, currently, right? As a single entity, that's probably the most valued company in India. They're all in hundreds of billions of dollars, right? So, which means they are actually creating that much value. And the point I'm trying to bring across is billion-dollar ideas are not very uncommon. They sort of appear. The whole idea about calling them unicorn is that they're very rare. That's the idea, right? Unicorn as an animal is imaginary, it doesn't exist. So there is some truth in that. Of course, it is not easy, as easy as I'm saying, but it is not very uncommon either, right? And even if you look at these large technology companies, there are probably several billion-dollar ideas coming in every year from them, right? And of course, startups, we already mentioned, one or two every day. Okay, so this hopefully give you a sense of what do these ideas look like, right? What do these billion-dollar ideas look like? So there are many simple billion-dollar ideas around us, and they're solving known problems. So it is not very difficult to find them. The key over here, the most important word over here is problems, right? It is not the solutions, but the problems. And the good news is that problems are easy to find. We can all just look at our lives or lives of people around us, and you'll be able to identify in 10 minutes of thinking 10 big problems, right? Now, we go back to the title of the talk again, which was billion-dollar ideas for passionate innovators. So we have, I've tried to define or give some sense of at least what I feel are billion-dollar ideas. We saw some examples. Now let's look at the second part, right? Which is, what are the billion-dollar ideas for passionate innovators? So for that, we first need to define what do we mean by passionate innovators, right? Okay. Passion. What is passion? Just think about it a little bit. Uh, Passion is about, you are really obsessed about something. You really like doing that. And all of you might be passionate about technology or computer science or particular areas of computer science or allied domains, as this topic is. But if we are looking at billion-dollar ideas and the discussion we just had, what I feel what is more important is to be passionate about the problem, right? Not the solution to the problem. That is also, there's nothing bad in that. If you're passionate about it, that's good. But what is important if one has to get to a billion-dollar idea is to be passionate about a billion-dollar or a large problem, right? Or another way of stating that is the passion has to be centered on helping people or adding value to society. That is what problems are about, right? And they always need not be, let's say, negative things. You could just be making life easier for someone, and that's a problem, yeah, you may be solving. Or it could be a difficult situation, let's say COVID, right? And you may be solving that problem as a real problem. So let's look at innovation. There is a difference between invention, R&D, discovery, and innovation, right? Uh, think about for a second what the difference could be. In my view, the difference is in execution. There could be an idea, you may even sort of invent something. There could be R&D around it. There could be discovery. But if it is not put to use, if it actually doesn't add value to someone, till that point, it's not an innovation, right? If it is actually getting used, and has reached its potential, at least to some extent, people have actually consumed the benefit from that invention, R&D, discovery, then it becomes an innovation, right? And this journey is not easy. There are a lot of reasons why ideas don't get to become innovation. Uh, but this is the difference. So when we say passionate innovators, it is again essentially trying to focus on the problem that the end user, the customer, or the society at large is benefiting from, right? So we've sort of defined this whole thing, $1 billion ideas for passionate innovators, and here's the summary so far. Uh, First thing is that actually ideas are not very important. Ideas are sort of overrated. It is not very difficult at all, I feel, to get ideas because there's so many problems all around us. There is one or two unicorns every day that are coming up. So you could just look at them, and there's so many problems which are out there which they're trying to solve. So that is not the difficult thing. And once we start looking at the societal problems or development or progress in general, that is simple to get to. What I think might be a little rare is a passion for solving these problems, right? And that's in a very sort of focused manner. And I feel that it is not just necessary if you want to build a $1 billion idea or a startup. It's also sufficient. Uh, One might feel that you would need technical for a technology startup. You may need technical expertise, for example, or you may need a lot of capital or money to invest initially. But no single person or even a set of people, the founders, let's say, would have all the skills. It's just not possible, and technology keeps moving so fast. It's not possible to keep up for one individual or a small set of individuals. Uh, and the good news is that it's none of that is necessary. I would say that the only thing that is necessary, and the interesting thing is that that's just sufficient. You just need one thing. You need passion on that one problem, which is a big problem. And then along the way, you'll find all the skilled people you need who could join your mission. There'll be, you'll find capital also. Everything that you need to execute, you'll find. But if you have all of those things and don't have passion for the problem, then it's unlikely to come about, right? So the rare thing is a passionate innovator who would not just find ideas, that's easy, who would not just identify problems, that's also sort of easy, but focusing on the problem and actually going ahead and executing till the problem is really solved, till the idea R&D becomes that innovation which people are able to consume. That's what is sort of a little rare. But the good news is this is sort of open to everyone. If you look at the founders and entrepreneurs, they come from all walks of life, sometimes uneducated, right? Sometimes accomplished. That's okay. We were talking, some of us, Professor Agarwal, Professor Chaudhary, at the beginning of this talk of how certain backgrounds or academic associations can sometimes help or not help. But I think at least in this domain, it's fairly even. All you need is passion to solve that problem. Of course, then there are certain things which are easier for some people at some point in time, etc. But by and large, that's all you need. And you can look at the examples around of successful entrepreneurs or people with an idea, and you'll see from their backgrounds that they are from all walks of life. all types of skills, etc. Right? Okay. So now, if you agree with this, let's do another little survey, right? I would like you all to think about some problem that you notice around you, or you've noticed around you, or globally. It could be a simple thing which impacts a large number of people, or it could be a thing which impacts a smaller number of people, but it has a big impact on them, like we discussed, right? And you could submit multiple responses. This is the link. I hope it is also there in your chat boxes.
Yeah, it's there in chat box, sir.
Okay, so please click, and each one of you can submit multiple responses as well. This is the main thing, right? I promised $1 billion ideas, so now you're getting close to it. But let's see what kind of problems all of us feel or see around us, which could be solved, right? Okay, and I'll start showing you the responses as well. Keep going. Professor Agarwal, I also see some hands raised. So we'll take the Q&A at the end or in between.
We can take in between, sir.
Sure.
Let me ask him to unmute himself.
Right.
Mr.
And
Murugan,
meanwhile,
I think you can unmute yourself now. Kindly check.
right. Meanwhile, these are the ideas. I hope you can see the responses of the $1 billion problems.
Visible, sir, visible.
Yeah. So please keep typing. But meanwhile, Mr.
Murugan.
Yeah.
Mr. Murugan, do you want to say something? Do you want to ask something?
Wait.
Murugan, Mr. Murugan.
Okay. So risk of investment, sustainability, automating of thalmoscopy. That's very specific, but that's interesting. Sustainable and affordable healthcare. That's cure to COVID, right? Absolutely. Waste management, rural education. Oh, there are many. So I'll just keep scrolling down. Security, goods and services, pandemic affected people, rural remote internet, yes. Traffic safety, skilled workforce, funding, the problem of funding, ransomware, education. There are multiple around education, which is I think expected from this audience. Okay, wait. More and more are coming in. Medical diagnosis, safety of working women, cybersecurity, high cost COVID treatment. Okay.
Some are there in the chat box also, sir, like logistic management during COVID for online shoppers and grocery selling or digital marketing.
Yes. Right. Excellent. Loneliness. Okay. So, right.
This loneliness issue is really worrisome nowadays because people are feeling very bad after COVID.
Yes, absolutely. Because
so many side effects are there.
Correct. Mental health is a big issue because all of us have been stuck in our homes for long. And now, hopefully, at least here in Delhi NCR, things are slightly better. So people have started moving out, but it has had a big impact for last 1 year. Depression. All right. Okay. So keep typing in. These were for your own reflection, and you can also see from the responses what kind of problems we are all aware of, and come up to our mind, and we can think of, right? Okay, let's move on. Now this is the next part of the title, right? I'm just going step by step from the title, which is vision systems, or AI, artificial intelligence, embedded systems, or IoT, Internet of Things, or software systems, which are things like cloud or mobile applications. I specifically chose these areas because these are the areas in which Critical works in. And all of us, I think this gathering in this audience is about, these are all computer science or related areas. And each one of them are very big themes. These are, of course, on the solution side. You would notice that these are not, let's say, what we can call problems towards the end customers, at least. But these can be used to solve thousands of, I would say, billion-dollar problems or ideas, right? So therefore, the total market size in probably all of these, or definitely all of these together, is in trillions. That's not in billions, that's in trillions. So which means there are of the order of thousands of billion-dollar problems that you can solve using one or a combination of these technologies, and of course, many others. Now, there are few that I have listed down there, which we are working on in Critical. So these are just some specific examples, but these are also to sort of relate to the problems that we all came up with just a short while ago. And maybe some of you are also thinking about these problems, are passionate about these problems or these areas of technology, and we can collaborate. So I'll just start from right to left. On the right is AssistTech, and that's AssistTech means assistive technology to assist visually impaired or hearing impaired or differently abled people, right? And this particular device that you see, this is a product called Dotbook, which we have been building in collaboration with IIT Delhi and Saksham Trust and Phoenix Medical Systems in Chennai. This is a collaborative effort. This is a refreshable Braille display for blind people, for visually impaired, right? So you have Braille dots, they can pop up and down as somebody browses the internet, for example. So therefore, they are refreshable. And these devices exist, but they were very expensive. We've tried to bring down the cost using shape memory alloy. So that's a more mechanical engineering type of innovation combined with electronics, embedded systems type of work, right? So this is one particular product within AssistTech, and there are other things also we are trying to do, including with academia and researchers. That's why I particularly picked this example, because this idea really originated within IIT Delhi. One of our founding professors, Professor Balakrishnan, has been working on AssistTech for more than 10 years now. And there are several products and ideas, some of which we are trying to commercialize in Critical or productize in Critical. Then if we move to the left of it, that's medical imaging. And medical imaging is about taking radiological images or videos even. These could be X-rays, these could be MRI, these could be CT scan images, and apply AI to automatically diagnose or assist in the diagnosis. So whatever a radiologist or a doctor does by looking at these pictures, to what extent can it be done automatically? So for example, currently we are collaborating with researchers in Aiml, which is a hospital in Delhi, and also IIT Delhi, to look at COVID X-rays and automatically screen and diagnose whether, looking at the X-ray, can be chest X-ray, can we say that what is the level of COVID, etc. We're also looking at breast cancer mammograms, breast cancer detection, and we may look at with PGI, Chandigarh, etc., gallbladder cancer, which is a very Indian, or even I would say a North Indian type of problem globally. But that's a whole domain in itself. It's about medical imaging, right? How do you capture these good quality images, and then how do you apply AI to diagnose or assist in the diagnosis, right?
There is a message in the chat box, sir. Sorry to interrupt you. Are you guys working on endoscopic image analysis also?
Some of our collaborators have worked on it. We have not very actively worked on it, but we'll be very happy to. I mean, it's a matter of time, I think. Currently, there's no active endoscopic type of project going on. In the past, in Critical, we have touched upon it a little bit. But I know of, for example, one of the faculty collaborators from IIT Delhi. We work closely with him. He has worked he's done a lot of work in endoscopic imaging, visualization, and stuff like that.
And I can see one message from one of our students, Subhash Arun Divedi,
yes,
and he's saying that he's working upon ophthalmoscopy, sir. If he's of any means, if his work is of any use, or he can uh, assist you in any of these, I think he would be happy to assist you.
please. So I'm going to leave my contact in the last slide here, or
Yes, sure, sir.
Marie and Lakshman and Professor Arun and Professor Chaudhary are connected through any which way. Let us connect. In fact, I would like to invite all of you, if you are passionate about any of these things or you want to explore any of these areas, we'll be very, very happy to collaborate in any manner, right? It could be projects that we could look at, or you may have projects where you may need our help to sort of solve your things, or we could jointly look at some industry. I also welcome my industry colleagues to join hand. We are very open, and the more we collaborate, the better it is. It's the common goal of maximizing value add to society that we are after, right?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So absolutely, in any of these areas, in fact. So the next one is NLP. That's a very big area which is coming in which we currently in Critical are not doing much, but that is an area which we want to grow in, right? But I wanted to put it down here because that's becoming extremely important. One common theme in AI, which we are observing, is it is now about solving things which humans do easily. Natural language, by definition, is our natural language, right? The way I'm talking, the way you talk, the way people talk in all our mother tongues and slangs, and the way we write with all the mistakes and unstructured stuff and emotions. That's what we do naturally and easily. Those are the most challenging frontiers for AI. So your Alexa or Google Assistant, how naturally can it talk? Can it understand you? Can it take instructions? Those are the things, but they are getting solved. I mean, there's really great progress happening over there. And it is, in some areas, it's not possible to distinguish a human from a AI, right? So it is natural language processing as well as generation, NLG kind of stuff. So that's an emerging area where we are beginning to do some work in Critical. And the last, which is the leftmost, is industrial imaging and machine vision. These are basically your manufacturing setups or warehouses, those kind of things, and automating those. So for example, high-speed barcode reading is one area, one product we are currently working on. In any of these areas, or even the broader themes above, vision systems is, of course, a particular part of AI, which deals with your eyes or images or videos. But there are all other types of AI, including NLP and audio and just data, time series data, etc., for example. IoT is about hardware or sensors, which is sometimes bringing in this data, and then you can have a combination. And mobile and cloud, you're aware of. So let's do this. We, I think, are fairly aware. I also gave you some examples, but don't limit yourself to this. Let's now think of some billion-dollar problems. Let's go back to what we were discussing earlier. This is the last question I'm asking, so I'll spare you after that. Let's think of, we all thought of some billion-dollar problems, right? Now let's think of some of those which you can solve using these technologies. It need not be limited to AI, IoT, cloud. It could be technology area of your own domain, your cybersecurity, whatever you're working on. But try to think of the problems that we saw earlier, or you could think of new problems where you think one or more of these technologies or the technology areas you are working in can contribute, could be a major part of the solution, right? And what you could do is you could type out, again, the link should be there in your chat. And here, perhaps you could, in brackets, or say the problem and which technology areas can solve it. For example, ophthalmoscopy. I presume AI would be a major contributor there, but whatever you feel. So the problem and which technology area you associate the solutions to those problems with, right? Because those are really likely to be the ones which are going to come from this group, this set of. So as you type in, and this is the last, so I won't trouble you after this. So give it your best shot. Okay. You can see the responses?
Yes, sir. These are visible.
Right. So do type in, yes, the like ophthalmoscopy, it's AI and medical imaging. Autonomous driving is also AI. Mental health by AI. Mobile charging, I think, would be in the domain of embedded systems IoT primarily. Agricultural yield and real-time monitoring, those are IoT issues. Helping wildlife. Okay, it'll be, of course, these technologies can help, but we need to make some links there of how exactly can technology help there. Medical aids, networking. Smart housing, home automation is a big area of IoT, as you may know. And it's not just about, it's also about sustainability and saving energy, being energy efficient. That's also smartness. Security. VR and AR. Sorry, it keeps going up, so I have to bring it down. Teach students, yes. EdTech, Byju's, $16.5 billion is EdTech. Biggest startup. So, and AR, VR definitely have a role to play over there. Yes. Farm automation, autonomous vehicles, yes. All right. Okay, so please keep typing, and I'll try to share these responses separately also. So Professor Arun and Professor Chaudhary can circulate it to all of you.
Sure, sir.
Right?
Your details are already there in the chat box.
Yes.
Marie has shared.
Okay. So, I'm just summarizing. I hope you got a sense of what a billion-dollar idea as a startup or separately looks like. What do we mean by passionate innovators? Each of those words. How can all of us who are working in computer sciences and allied domains think about some of these problems. We saw lots of examples, and we also understood that there are actually no dearth of problems or areas you can contribute to. And we have several successful examples. There are several examples we saw, and I've been promised that we'll track everyone here to see which ideas come about in the next 5 to 10 years from this group. And of course, the main one thing I am really hoping that comes about is collaboration between all of you, amongst all of you, and between us as well, include me and critical team also in that. So if you are a passionate innovator in whatever, whether you are a faculty member, student, engineer, industry professional, techie, or just any human being who is passionate about a problem which you think can be solved, and where you think the domains in which critical works in, AI, embedded systems, IoT, cloud mobile, then we'll be very happy to collaborate. That's our core purpose in critical. But even otherwise, I hope many of you find your billion-dollar idea problem journeys, and I hope in some of them we could walk together, right? So that's all I really wanted to convey. These are my contact details. You could contact me directly. LinkedIn works the best because that way we can introduce. But you can also email, and if I'll try to respond to everyone. But if you don't get a response, then Professor Arun and Professor Chaudhary also have my phone numbers. You could contact me. Feel free to share. So thanks a lot. I hope you you liked and you got what you wanted from this session. I'll be happy to take any questions or comments.
Thank you so much, sir. Participants are now requested to type in their questions in the chat window so that I can read them for you to Mr. Dipinder. If you have any queries, you can write in the chat window. So I can see one question. So, sir, to initiate the collaboration process, how we have to proceed with, like a project proposal?
Okay, so that's a good question. So this is Dr. Amandeep Kaur, right? I can also see it. Dr. Kaur and all of you, it depends on the nature of collaboration that you're looking at. So if you are a student and you're working on an idea and you want some advice or funding or technology to take that idea forward, then that's one type of a thing. Or if you just want to spend some time in critical, observing what is going on and learning, that's another type of possibility. If you are already at have a group and you've been working on for some time, there is an industry problem probably that you, or a project from the government or something you have taken on, and you want to set up a team to more efficiently solve that problem, that's another type. So it depends on the nature of collaboration. All types of collaborations are welcome. The starting point could be you just contact me or contact us in critical. You could email that here is your broad idea of collaboration. This is what you want to do. This is like an internship you want to undertake. You want to write a proposal and get funding. You want whatever the nature of collaboration you are seeking, start by contacting and expressing your idea of collaboration. And don't hold back. Don't feel that this kind of collaboration will work or this kind of collaboration will not work. Just try to articulate whatever your ask is, whatever you want to do, whatever support or collaboration you need, and that's what we are also looking for. I'll be very happy if we can collaborate with more and more people.
So people are also interested in collaborating with you in networking domain, sir. Do you work in networking domain also?
some aspects of networking we work on. IoT, for example, is about communications, right? One aspect of IoT is the low power sensors, which could be wherever they are in a vehicle or in your home. And they have to be devices which have to be very low power, and they have the special protocols to communicate the data, right? It's very different from, let's say, TCP/IP or something like that. So that is one area, these communication protocols or devices at both ends. We do embedded systems work, so we have to constantly deal with different types of um, networking and communications. So there are some specific areas within that we work on, but networking is a very big area, very broad area. But please do share with us. It is certainly not off limits, right? And pretty much everything, any device you build, anything that you do, there is some element of communication and networking involved. So yes, we'll be happy to look at that.
Mr. Murugan is interested in knowing whether there is any chance for cyber security or machine learning. I think it's there.
Yeah, there's a big chance for both of them. Machine learning is what we in critical work more in, relatively speaking. We don't do too much work in cybersecurity, though we have built some ciphers and stuff long back. But between the two, let's say machine learning is a greater focus. But separately, they are both very big areas, and they both also go together sometimes, as you all might know.
And he has also raised a concern, sir. Can we get internet without internet?
So I'll have to understand what that means.
Yeah, I'm also not able to understand. Mr. Murugan, if may I request you to kindly unmute yourself and then clarify that what do you really want to ask? Mr. Murugan, I'm just trying to find him.
Sure, and I also see
Yeah, Mr. Murugan, I think you can now unmute yourself.
Yes, and Minu is asking research collaboration. Absolutely. Given the origins of critical and several examples that I mentioned, we try to work closely with researchers. I call it small R and capital D. So research collaboration is very welcome.
Hello.
Yes, Murugan.
Yes,
Yeah, Mr. Murugan. Mr. Murugan, can you please highlight?
Most of the topics, whatever you are highlighted over here, everything is interconnected with internet or intranet or extranet.
Yeah.
Without such facilities, can we utilize it with any new technology like that? The automation, we are in need of cloud and we have to spend more like that. But I came to know that by using electricity like that, we have a chance to use internet over home or everywhere like that. It is a new technology, but not getting more idea about it. That is what, see, everywhere people spend more money for particular internet. See, everybody talking about cloud. Something happened for cloud. See, the server may be down, or see, the people not aware to use the devices sometimes. See, it is happened over there in shopping mall. If you go into some vegetable shop, then the people not able to use it, but due to certain unavailability of internet, then how can we utilize? Is there any new technology available for us to have it?
Yes. So, you might have heard of edge computing, for example. That's just one thing that is coming to my mind, which is all about computing at the edge without connectivity. For example, in an autonomous vehicle, due to various reasons, you really want it to be autonomous even without connectivity. Then if you look at actually medical imaging, for example, you have an X-ray machine, you take an X-ray, the AI software is on a computer besides it or within it. You don't need internet really, right? So there are tons of things out there which, at least the way the problem is solved eventually, it doesn't require connectivity, and that's also necessary because there are many areas still where And there are also bandwidths. For example, video is a very heavy data. So it is important to put the compute close to the edge where the data is getting generated. You can't, it is very inefficient to move it to the cloud and then process it over there and then, act locally. So edge computing is one place which I could think of which is all about doing things without internet. But of course, the process of building that solution, how the researchers and engineers collaborate, like all of us are talking right now only because of internet and cloud. So I think it's almost unthinkable right now. It just makes things very efficient, knowledge search very efficient. But the solutions themselves, like edge computing, certainly. And there are many of those which don't really need internet, or sometimes they can't. It's not a good idea to be dependent on connectivity. Okay, and I see some questions from student internships. Absolutely, if you're interested in internships, research collaboration in any of these areas, or even recruitment, we are really looking for talented people to join us. We are sort of a lot of work, short of hands right now. So if you think you like these areas and you are a passionate innovator in any of these either problems or the kind of tech domains, absolutely, we'll be delighted to hear from you. Please contact us.
Need they come with some ideas, sir, or just with the talent or the capabilities?
Just with the talent is also good. So if you are working in or want to learn even some of these areas, and you're committed about it. More important is, are you committed to it and sincerely willing to put in the effort and learn? Then even that is sufficient.
And sir, I'm asking this question on behalf of the students, whosoever are there. So
Yes.
can you please throw some light on the evaluation process that you people follow at Critical Solutions to provide internships or job opportunities?
Right. So ultimately, what we are looking for is hands-on abilities. What I mean by that is, for example, are you able to code? Are you able to work with circuits? Depending on what type of area you want to contribute to. So the real work experience, real project experience, the projects, more than the theoretical stuff, how much have you applied it or have the ability to apply or the ability to learn? So those would be, so for example, coding skills, or if you're working in AI and ML, how many real AI ML projects have you done? What have you done, and what has been your personal learning and contribution there? Sometimes you work in teams, so it is important to see what one can individually do. So applied knowledge is one important criteria, because it will be great if the team members can be productive from day one, or at least they have the intent to do that. The other equally or perhaps more important thing is what I said already: your sincerity and commitment and ability to work hard and learn in that area, right? So if you're willing to put in that effort, then even if you don't have certain skills, you may not have opportunities so far or whatever to work on real life data or problems, then that is also okay, right? But that should be highlighted. Now, while this is the goal, these two things that I mentioned, applied skills and, let's say, I'll call it passion for innovation, or passion and commitment and sincerity and aptitude towards that area, it is not actually, this is a $1 billion problem. How do you evaluate quickly and efficiently? How do you find out who has what skills and at what level? And especially these things like sincerity and passion. How do you evaluate? It's not a easy thing. So we try to do various things, but and if you have any suggestions on what may be a better way to identify, that is where we'll probably also depend upon your professors, if you're a student, to tell us, because they people who have worked with you know you the best. So at least for senior recruitment, etc., for example, reference checks or those kind of things are helpful. But I want to admit that it's not easy. It's not easy to find out. But at least, those are the goals. Those are the two things we are looking for. So try to highlight uh, either of those or both of those.
But
That's
sometimes what we have seen, sir, that the students who are good in coding, they are not having good CGPA.
yeah.
Sometimes they are having only 5 or 6 CGPA, but they are good in coding, or they are the innovators, you can say.
Yep.
I have seen students like that. That's why I'm saying this. So sometimes there are companies which do not allow them to sit even in their evaluation process. Reason behind is their CGPA is low.
Correct. So, that's a practical issue. We would not want to do that in critical, but there is some way for us to know that the CGPA is low. These are the reasons, but you are still very passionate, still very interested, and maybe in a particular aspect. I'm aware of several of my colleagues as well. They, let's say, just for whatever reason, ignored the rest of it and just focused on, let's say, a particular aspect which they were really interested in. And they just like doing things in the lab, perhaps, and may not be good at communicating on papers. So at least critical, you're most welcome if you are of that type. But it is not very easy to find such people. But if we are able to find, for example, if you recommend, then we would prefer that. That's applied skills is more important for us than CGPA. Of course, normally, the reality also is that there is a high correlation between high CGPA and those skills. There are exceptions, and those exceptions need to be found and considered. So the easy proxy for those skills is CGPA, and that's why companies end up doing it. But that's not the intent, and that's not the. I would say you don't even need a degree if you have the passion and skills. Then that's what is required, right? But it makes it easier to identify if if you are also have good CGPA or a degree. That just makes it easier.
So Dr. Amandeep Kaur wants to ask a question. So let me unmute her so that she can ask her question, because she is saying that it will be tough to write in the chat box because it will be too long. So Dr. Amandeep, I think you can unmute yourself now.
Thank you so much, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. Good
Welcome.
morning, everyone. Very, very interactive session, Dipinder, sir. We really get to know a lot of insight about the latest technologies being used and how we can even collaborate them all together. Actually, I have a very, this is not even related with the things that you discussed today. Basically, as if we all are working on the online mode right now, right? And even more of the students, they are preparing for online evaluation, right? And as if it depends on the software, sometimes the universities, they set the questions and the question bank and the questions, sometimes the answers are quite wrong and students are experiencing lower CGPA, right? So do you think this online evaluation, do it needs to be considered in future for the companies in order to evaluate the students, or either it should only be the practical part or the hands-on training that they have, or just like the codathons or the hackathon problems if somebody works on? Like, do you think that is more important, or the online evaluation which is being done during COVID?
Okay. So if you have to choose between the two, in our area, I would choose the latter, which is the codathons, etc. However, both are important. In general, both are important. And online, see, even these codathons, etc., are conducted online, right? You just submit your code. So that's also a type of online evaluation. But then I understand there are other things also. There are all kinds of things. In fact, video interviews, automated assessment of your videos, because there's so many things that one extracts from that, right? And I do, this area is just going to grow, online evaluation and automated evaluation, because that is making the problem easier. It's in a way, we have these entrance tests, right? You have your JEE or GMAT or all of these things. Similarly, what is happening in professional recruitment is that is also getting converted into online test. The reason is because it becomes scalable. If it is automated, interviewing time is such a precious time. It's not normally available. That becomes the bottleneck. We want to hire so many people. There are also applications. Just to go through that process, people have to find time, which will take away time from whatever else they were doing. And anyway, there's shortage of talent. So it becomes a vicious sort of circle. So in that context, to have an automated, at least shortlisting, that's very value adding, and that's just a growing area. In fact, that's definitely $1 billion area, as we discussed. Now, I do recognize, Dr. Amandeep, that there are problems there. The moment you try to sort of just objectify certain things, there would be mistakes. There could be problems during a particular test or exam. Somebody may just have a poor internet or some question. It's just, the quality can go down. And that is where the improvement needs to happen, right? So what, for example, now is being done is good score in a particular type of test or a particular automated evaluation, how strongly it correlates with career success or growth, right? So if what companies are trying to discover, or anyone who's recruiting, even institutions, is, okay, this test is what a high score in this question or this test or this type of evaluation is what I really need. Because so that learning is getting absorbed in the market gradually. So it'll automatically move away from erroneous processes, and it'll move closer towards the right kind of processes, right? But automated evaluation of both type, codeathon type as well as other questions, but automated, they're both going to stay and only grow.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much.
I think it's really going to be a really very genuine concern for the students as well as for the companies, because the students are worried how the companies are going to look at them, because they are going to pass out in this COVID period. So means somebody may look at them that these are the students who passed out during the COVID period. Their exams, means how the exams were conducted. So how do the company will look at these BTech students?
Yeah, no, I think that should not be a concern. I have not heard of this, like this batch, because this was a COVID batch, these two batches, you sort of treat differently. They'll need to go through the same process of recruitment or evaluation. And if they're good, it doesn't matter which batch they are coming from.
Actually, so I don't students think are worried about it.
Yeah, okay, so they need not be. They should not be worried. You can, in fact, in some cases, it could be an advantage, right? If you have successfully gone through the COVID period and passed out, let's say, in a way, because you also have to work in the similar environment now, right? So in a way, it's an advantage. It demonstrates that you are able to work remotely on your own and do good work with discipline. And you're used to technology, you have your stable internet. All of those things are sort of come with, so you look at it as an advantage rather than a disadvantage.
I think Dr. Ankur want to say something. Dr. Ankur?
No, sir, everything is going fine.
Okay. So I could see one concern raised by one of the people, that one of the person, it was about some jobs. Yes, there are many reports coming nowadays that machine learning and IoT will replace the jobs of the people. What are your views on that, sir?
My views are, and I think this applies more to machine learning. IoT, I don't know in what direct ways it will replace, but this is true for all technology, isn't it? So when steam engines came, a lot of people were doing manual work, right? Physical work. So there was this concern. When computers came, a lot of people were doing manual computing. There were people who were calculators, right? For example, computing your salaries and taxes, and that was their job. So I think always what technology does in general, this is not just true for AI, it appears very direct because it's like directly at your intelligence level. Now, that was the last thing, and that's also going. But it'll create new jobs. The old jobs will be replaced with new jobs as they have been happening. And currently, anyway, we are far away from that. So, for example, there's such a big need to label data. The more human artistic type of abilities, design capabilities, for example, those are going to become more important going forward. But essentially, some new skill will become more important, and some old skills would perhaps be replaced by technology, some old type of work. That's the cycle which always goes on. We don't need to worry about it. We need to make sure that we reskill ourselves to make sure that is remain useful, right?
In fact, these technologies are providing jobs to the people.
Correct. It's always like that, right? Certain type of jobs go away, but certain new types of jobs emerge. So I think that's what is going to happen from AIML as well.
Yeah, there is one more question, but I think you have already answered that question. What are the basic skills company wants from an AI/ML fresher?
Yeah.
It's
So
in general question, not about critical solutions. It's what are the basic skills that companies look for in an AI/ML fresher?
so the way I would want to answer it is, if on your own you have solved 1, 2, or 3 AI/ML problems, or you have the capability to solve it, and you can demonstrate, that's the first thing you should say, that this was a AI/ML problem, I worked on it, maybe I worked with a team, but my personal role was this, and I solved it from end to end. Those are the skills. If you're able to do that, then you have those skills. And if you're not able to do that, even if I list that you need maths and you need your neural networks, or you need this type of coding, PyTorch or whatever, then that is not useful. But if you've solved the problems, then you have the skills. Solve 2, 3 different types of projects or problems, and that is the first thing you could highlight, that I can solve these I can code these kind of projects, or I can solve these type of AI/ML problems. And this, I would say, in terms of any general skill, if you've actually applied it to do something useful, which is typically your projects, right? And you really yourself have the reasonable capability, right? You might have worked in a team. Then I think that's what matters.
Does publishing research papers also help the students in getting a job, sir, during job interviews?
In critical type of companies, that is valued, and because we work in innovation, cutting edge, so ability to go through research, available research, even read papers and then contribute on top of it is very useful. However, it is best if it is together with applied knowledge. So for example, you've published a paper that comes along with the code or the product, or what you did. That's then super. That would then be better than anything, I would say. But just a research paper at a theoretical level would not be useful for most applied companies, right? And but that has a place. For that you need what I call capital R and small d, and universities or big industry research labs is where I think that is useful. But for example, for us in critical, we constantly need the ability to work with academia and work with researchers. And there, if you're coming from that background, that that is very helpful. But along with that, it is necessary to have the applied skills.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for sparing your valuable time and how beautifully you have designed your PPTs and the way you have presented them. And definitely you have instigated the culture of innovation as well as entrepreneurship today in the audience. They must be thinking about that what problem they can solve in future, and they must be sharing the problems with critical solutions also. I'm sure about that. And we will definitely be looking for further collaborations with you and your company, sir. And rest what I can see numerous appreciation messages. This session was really very informative, fruitful session. And Mr. Murugan also wanted to know, can you encourage PhD holder to do postdoctoral over there up to his industry?
Absolutely. So answer to that is yes, that will be wonderful. Postdocs, we've had some earlier as well, and very welcome. And thank you so much, Professor Agarwal, Professor Chaudhary, the entire organizing team and Sharda University. This was wonderful to interact with all of you. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. And I'm really looking at this as start of a conversation. I really hope that this leads to fruitful collaboration.
May I now request all the participants to kindly switch on their video so that we can have a photograph with the speaker with the help of screenshots. And I request you, sir, to kindly unshare your screen.
Yes, I'll do that.
All the participants, I can see some of my old colleagues. Dr. Rajni Saigal is there. Dr. Renuka Nagpal Arora is there.
Dr.
Dr.
Nikhil is
Shilpi
also there
Sharma
from
is
Bhopal.
there. Dr. Shilpi Sharma is there. Nice to see you.
Yes, nice for me also to see so many faces. Thank you for joining.
All of them are working with Amity University, sir. We have so many participants from Amity also.
So I think our new office, we've just shifted to a new office in Sector 125 in Noida.
Yeah, it's in 125, yeah. And your office is in 128 now.
125. So we are
okay,
right.
125. Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
Dr. Gaurav, are you taking the screenshots? Thank you, everyone. Thank you for switching on your videos. And thank you, Dipinder sir. Once again, thank you so much for sparing your valuable time. I can understand that how difficult it is for you to come on such platforms and discuss with the audience. How difficult it is to catch people like you.
I hope I did not make it too difficult for you. Thank you so much.
For us, it was easy, sir.
I hope it was.
You are very cooperative, I must say. Every time you have responded well in that.
Thank you. And I hope it remains like that. And to all the participants here, wish you a very good day or good evening, wherever you are. And I wish you all success in your respective pursuits. And I'm looking forward to several billion-dollar ideas there, some of which hopefully we can collaborate together in. Right?
Sure. Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
You so
and
much.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
and for the participants, let me tell you, we have another session at 1 p.m. IST, and the speaker is Dr. Robert J. Hollett. He is from UK. So it will be a short session of 1 hour only because we will be having another session at 2:30 p.m. So 1 to 2 p.m. So kindly be on time in that session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.